Kicking it off with Slalom, a skiing game. This was one I'd never played growing up. Can't say that it was on my radar, but the graphics here look great. I love how the mountains look in the background. Great choice of colors with that dark blue night sky and then the purple mountains. And then your overall gameplay is pretty good here from the perspective that you get going down the hill. I think it looks great. Moving on to Nintendo World Cup. Very similar here to River City Ransom or Super Dodgeball. You have the same characters right here. A good time for sure. Fun soccer game here. I love the expressions that the guys make. Again, if you're getting like hit by the ball and they got the same power-up kicks with that. Definitely a fun time. I never played this one growing up. Obviously Super Dodgeball a bunch. So I'm happy that I discovered this one here and excited to give it a go. All right, we got TNC Surf Designs Thrilla's Safari. Again, another one I never played. I played the first TNC Surf Design. This game was quite hard. I was capturing some gameplay footage for this, and it took me a while to kind of beat some of the levels here. It does look awesome, though. I love seeing the gorilla on the skateboard right there, and he stands out against the jungle and everything. And I think they do a good job with the graphics, with all the greenery. Definitely a stunning game, but a learning curve is definitely hard on this one. Blaster Master. Do I need to say anything? This opening says it all right here. Gotta love that kick in for the music. Fantastic game. This one's a good one. Love the graphics in it. Again, with that dark blue sky and the mountains. That's a great technique to give some depth to the field here. And even in these scenarios, you can see how deep the cavern is that he's in. And then you got the nice big sprites when you go into the caves here and it switches. So dynamic with this game. I love playing this one. Great soundtrack as well. It gets you pumped up. And then getting into some boss fights. Larger than life boss fights. They keep it simple with a black screen and the boss takes up basically half the screen. It's an epic battle for sure. And they do it right in this game. Here we go, Gradius, classic Konami game. You can actually use the Konami code in this. I don't know if everyone knows that. It's common knowledge, obviously, in Contra, but you could use it here as well to unlock a bunch of weapons. Gotta love a nice space shooter. Good music and great graphics as well. You got your ship right here. A little bit of starry background, but they have a bunch of awesome enemies on screen, and then once you start getting to the more like cavernous areas, you kind of see the graphics and the larger bosses that you go up against. Here I just put in the Konami code, and now I got all the fixins ready to devastate all these aliens here. Great stuff for sure. Here's one of the big bosses. They look great. It's a fun time. Definitely enjoy this game. Here's one of the pricier titles, Mighty Final Fight. You got Cody, Guy, and Hagar. It's done in a chibi style, so they're kind of short and cute, but it plays just like a beat-em-up game. I feel like a lot of people didn't get to experience this one because it came out a little bit later, or now that people discovering it and it costs so much to get it that they can't play it. But it's a super fun time here. You got a great move set and it looks awesome. I love all the details on the background there with like a sail here. You got movie now open with a couple of figures on there, and the bosses are a little bit bigger that stand out. Details great on these figures. Here's a little bit of Guy doing some combos. The city backdrop here, it certainly takes advantage of the NES and pushes it to its limits. Journey to Silius, Sunsoft, a fantastic soundtrack with this game and an awesome epic intro here. I love games that have the cinematic intro that kind of builds that story, your little backstory of what you're getting into, and it gets you pumped to play. Now, we all know this one was supposed to be a Terminator game, but they had lost the license, so they had to spin it a little bit different. So you kind of see some of the imagery and almost think of a Terminator game. But once you get into it, still, it's a great game on its own without having the Terminator franchise, right? Beautiful background, shows that devastated city and the clouds in the sky stand out. Good color palette, right? It's not all muddied out. It stands out good and you can see your character. Some games might struggle with that with color theory, but this looks great. Here's a look at one of the bosses here. You got this giant alien helicopter, I guess you could say. Looks really cool. Got to make sure you got that machine gun if you're going to survive in here. It's a tough game. I played it a bunch of times, never beat it. Maybe I got to like level 2 or 3. I got to go back and really put the time into this game. It's a fun one and it looks great. G.I. Joe, a real American hero. Oh man, this game's super fun. Fantastic one. You get to choose which G.I. Joe you want for the mission. You got different missions, so you could choose different G.I. Joes for each mission. And on the fly, switch between them. They all have their different abilities and life bars, and everything looks great. Big giant plane boss right here. Looks awesome. Shooting missiles at you, and again, you got all different weapons. You can be Snake Eyes with like a gun or use his sword, and it's great that you could just switch on the fly and use someone else in case you're low on health. Real unique level design. This one you're going around trying to defuse some bombs. The boss right here looks awesome, and you remember a bunch of these guys from the show growing up and playing it. All right, switching it up to some other Saturday morning cartoons. We got the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles here. And again, I love this intro, cinematic, gets you pumped up. You got that turtle music going, and you're ready to kick some shell. We got the Manhattan Project, Turtles 3. This one starts off, they're relaxing on the beach, when all of a sudden, boom, Shredder strikes and takes all of New York. This one's a little bit similar to the second one. It plays as a beat 'em up. You know, this is the kind of style game we wanted when we were playing the Ninja Turtle arcade game, but now we could bring it home on our Nintendo Entertainment System. I think it's funny how they have the little turtles holding a logo that says Turtles in the bottom screen. Like, why is that there? They're like, we need to fill that space. I don't know, put something there. And they all have the same bandana, so it's almost like a throwback to the comic book. This one's a great one. I love the animations on it. The backgrounds look awesome in the scenes, you know, starting at the beach right here, and you get the little like ice cream shops there, and some of the signs fall with the foot coming out. It just has a great fun vibe. Great to play as 2 players or single players. All right, let's fight us some Rocksteady right here. Pain in the butt. He got me. But other great levels too. You can actually get on the water and use some surfboards. This was similar to how they had it in the arcade, so it's great to see it here on the NES, and it looks great. No real slowdown with the amount of foot soldiers on hand. Look at that. Chard Raphael. Fantastic. I just love the little details like that. Or if you fall in a hole or something like that. Always fun. And they did great job with the bosses that came out in this. So many, I was like, oh, I have that action figure. Like, that's so cool to see him on the Nintendo and I get to fight him. Great game for sure, and looks awesome. All right, here's one that never came out in the States, the Mr. Gimmick game, but it's awesome. It looks so great. it's got a little bit of everything in here when you look at it. A little bit of like Kirby, maybe Super Mario Brothers, Little Samson in there. But it looks awesome. The waves in there look great with the motion. Him himself looks really good. Fun gameplay. I was having a good time getting some footage for this here and playing it. A real unique game and stands out on the NES library. All right, how to choose a Mega Man game. We went with Mega Man 4. Again, an awesome epic intro, giving you the storyline of what you're about to get into. I love that. Mega Man's right there. Got his flowing hair. You usually don't see him without his helmet on. And all the awesome robot masters. Not much more to say about a Mega Man game, right? Fantastic music, great gameplay, and it stands out. You can see the backgrounds there with all the mechanics, the spikes, the lights with the flames. Such a great game. Love the Mega Man series for sure. And they all look pretty awesome, but we chose Mega Man 4. Maybe you guys would have chose a different one. Oh man, Castlevania III Dracula's Curse. This game, perfection right here. Even when you put your name in, looks awesome. This opening scene, fantastic for sure. And then that music kicks in, you're ready to kick some butt. I love this one that it has so many different paths you can take, the extra help that you pick up, and then you can hit a button and switch between them. It's just pretty flawless here, and it gives that arcade feel. And so many awesome iconic bosses for sure. I had a fun time playing this during October. It's a hard one though. I mean, it's Castlevania, right? You're gonna die a bunch, but it looks awesome, plays great, and has so much replayability with those different paths you can take. Vice Project Doom. This is a great one, and again, inspiration from a bunch of different games you can see here. Epic intro, getting you pumped up, and it starts right off with like a racing shooter game almost, and you're like, wait, I thought this was a platform. So they kind of throw you through a little loop with this, but it starts off high-paced, in your face, and it looks awesome. I love that they kind of changed it up a little bit so it wasn't just a platformer game. But then you get into the action here. This is mostly the gameplay. That city skyline there looks awesome. I love that you can almost see all the lights and everything on it. And you get into the boss battles. They're epic. So many unique stages in this game that help it stay fresh and stand out in the NES library. And again, some fantastic boss fights that are tough. Again, NES hard, that's where it comes from. But visually, fantastic, stands out, good music, fun gameplay. All right, Gremlins 2, the new batch. Look at Gizmo just hanging there. That opening screen right there, fantastic. I love the pixel art. And again, with these nice little intros here, building the story for you. Little thumbs up, hey, let's go. Great music on this, man. I haven't beaten this game yet. This is hard. I played this a ton growing up, enjoying the movie. I had to get the NES game, play as Gizmo. Such a unique take on it. I love that he's so small, and you get certain weapons like here, the matchstick. You get like a paper clip. It's a fun one. I definitely love going back to this and seeing how great it stands out in the NES library. Look at these boss battles. The Gremlins look awesome, and there's so many unique ones that just stand out. The spider one, the electricity one. But man, platforming in this, certainly tough. You gotta buy those balloons. This way, if you fall in a hole, you can try to get a little bit further. It's a hard one for sure, but fantastic. On a more cheery note, we got Kirby's Adventure. Our cute little pink puff right here. So bright and colorful, this game. This is definitely top of the list of fantastic graphics on the NES that just stand out, and they push it to the limit. Fun gameplay, really easy to get into, not really a difficult game, but so much to explore, so many upgrades and weapons you can get in this game, so many different levels, mini games, you name it, this game delivers for sure. And the cuteness, gotta love it. A little claw game with Kirby, so cute. All right, Shatterhand is up next here. This has great sprite details, real smooth animation, and it just throws in this futuristic flair to it. You can see some inspirations from games like Ninja Gaiden, Batman, and even Vice Project Doom. It's a fun one for sure. You get a couple little like robot characters to help you along the way, so that kind of varies it up, and the boss battles are epic. And once you beat the tutorial level, essentially the opening level is that, you get this Mega Man style where you can choose your destiny, where you want to go, and I just love the visuals right there. Really fun. Hard game for sure, but rewarding. Alright, I know we just brought up Ninja Gaiden. Here we are, the Ancient Ship of Doom. Again, Ninja Gaiden's always known for these cinematic cutscenes, telling the story, and they look great. You get into the action, it doesn't let down. Fantastic music for sure, and they did a lot of great upgrades, right? You can now climb and cling on things here, and I love you can see what the power-ups are inside of these right here, so you know, okay, that's fuel for my weapon, or this is the type of weapon I want to get. I think that's fantastic. This way you don't get a weapon you don't want. And graphically, look at the background here. So much going on with the light shining, lighting up the background. You got the lava flow, and then you get into the boss battles with this epic scene here with aliens in the background in a lab with Ryu fighting. Then you get this cool level that's a vertical scroller with this lava rising, so it has that anticipation of I'm gonna get engulfed in the lava, and you have to keep traversing vertically. So cool. This game has excellent visuals. Not any easier than the other games though. Well, speaking of NES hard, you got your classic right here. This is Battletoads on the NES. A beat 'em up game with great visuals for sure. Just love the big ships here. The little cutscenes with some text to build the story. Sprites look awesome and detailed. When you get into the gameplay, the sprites themselves are nice and full, and I love the little animations of their fists getting bigger, the horns on their head when they're ramming the people. Such great details. A fun game, challenging for sure. This one I played a bunch and never actually able to beat it just because of the difficulty spike, but visually really enjoyed it. They had some great boss fights here. I love how it changes perspectives, and then you're throwing boulders at the boss to get hits on him. And then you get into this nice level that's a vertical level, so they're switching up the gameplay a little bit, and you can turn into a bell to smash the enemies on the wall. You can get a little sword as well. Such a dynamic game, and of course, Turbo Tunnel. Everyone probably got up to the Turbo Tunnel as a kid and tried it over and over again. Got to break up maybe the Game Genie, get a little bit further in this game. Now, this is a gorgeous and underrated game for sure. Kickmaster by Taito on the NES. It's got cutscenes to build that backstory for you, and then you get into the gameplay and you can see visually how awesome this looks. You got the beautiful background, and you got a lot going on when you're fighting the enemies. The way this works is when you defeat an enemy, a bunch of stuff explodes out, and you have to choose what you want to upgrade. Do you want to get more health? Do you want to get more of your kick power? So it's a cool leveling up idea, and even those skull and crossbones, you get that, it'll end up hurting you. So you progress along upgrading all your weapons, and it's a fun time for sure. I played through this game and enjoyed it so much. Definitely want to go back, and if you guys haven't checked it out, so put this game on your radar, keep an eye out for it. Visually fantastic. Here's one of the boss fights. You're just fighting this witch, but one of the boss fights that stands out is in the later level. I was like, this is on NES. You're just coming along, and then out of nowhere this lady appears with all these wolves. So awesome. Look how epic and cool that looks. That's a boss for sure, taking up most of the screen, and you just have to keep attacking her. And if you don't level up enough, you kind of have to go back through the level and try to get more moves that you can unlock, making it a little bit easier, but super fun one. This one was bound to make the list for sure. Super Mario Brothers 3. I feel like this blew our minds as a kid. Did you see it first time watching The Wizard? Right, I think everyone has. Kind of got pumped for the new Mario game. It was so much different than Mario 2. It was like Mario 1, but just pushed to the max with so many great power-ups, level design, and definitely one of my favorite power-ups with the leaf where you can get the raccoon suit and fly. That one's fantastic. Certainly spend hours just getting up my P power and flying to the top of the level, see if I can find any secrets. And then when eventually I got the red strategy guide from Nintendo Power that had every secret in this game, I was ready to dive in and unlock them all. Of course, this one we seen in the movie The Wizard, so it was easy to replicate. To go get your first whistle, if you hold down for 3 seconds, you go through the block, go behind, and here's your treasure chest to get the whistle. And then the mini games in it were a fun time. The variety in levels in this was awesome. World to world, one of my favorite was Giant World here, where everything is massive. I just love the scale of it. Such unique ideas in this game, and the graphics stand the test of time still to this day. Here's another one of those pricey games, maybe not on everyone's radar, Metal Storm. You play as this mech that has the ability to switch gravity, which was kind of a neat mechanic. You can go along shooting like this, and then if you press a button, you can go onto the ceiling and play the level that way. So the level design, they really had to think through and being like, all right, how can we make these puzzles where you can bounce back and forth between this mechanic here. And here's one of the boss fights, an awesome mech robot that takes up most of the screen. I love these larger than life bosses that look detailed with the background and everything. And then with this level here, it's got a lot going on with like scrolling in the background. It's really trippy to look at. This level is tough to get through. Definitely one of my favorite video games of all time, not even just the NES. Batman, the video game on NES. The visuals in this were so awesome. Getting the cutscenes with the Batmobile, seeing Gotham City. You know, I was hyped off watching the Tim Burton movie, and then getting a game on the NES. I was like, let's go. I actually have a tattoo of NES Batman in the purple and everything. That's how much I enjoy this game here. It's hard. It's definitely one of those hard games that you got to put the time into. Maybe you rented it a bunch for the weekend and just had at it and tried to get as far as you can. Again, Sunsoft put this out, so the music is top notch, and the visuals here with the dark grittiness of Gotham City just really puts you in a vibe playing this game, and I love it so much. And definitely some unique boss battles as well. The first one, pretty easy, simple to get into, but later on you got machines you're fighting, and then if you ever eventually do get up to the Joker, it's pretty wild. And these cutscenes, again, Batmobile screeching in, just gets you pumped as a kid to play the game, and visually fantastic. The levels vary so much. You're in the industrial level right here. These guys always reminded me of Predators, right? I'm sure every kid thought that. And you've seen plenty of games on this list today that drew inspiration from this game with the mechanics, the platforming, and even visual style of this game. It just did it right and kind of set that bar where it needs to be with what you can do with the NES and really push that system. One of the more talked about NES games, Little Samson, probably mostly because of the price on it, a little later title. It took inspiration from a bunch of different games. You could kind of pick which level you want to start with here, and you go through the level, and that kind of unlocks the character for that level, and then you can switch in between the characters. Once you rescue his friends there, you have a dragon which can fly for a little bit. You have a guy made totally out of stone, so he's impervious to spikes, very heavy, and then you have this tiny little mouse that can climb on walls and leave bombs. The boss battles are fun. They're kind of fought in two parts. You have the weaker enemy, and once you defeat him, you get this big monster guy to go up against. And again, take advantage of switching characters. Maybe you need the stronger character or the mouse that's faster to get away. Visually, this is fantastic, and the levels variety so much in it, and the music is great. It's just that price tag, I think, that most people didn't get to experience this game, unfortunately. Alright, if you were a Ninja Turtle fan, you probably were a Bucky O'Hare fan as well. In the 90s, I think they just took any animal they could and turned it into some type of cartoon or toy line for kids. This game, visually fantastic. Again, cutscenes that build the story, the sprites look great, and it opens up with this stage select where you can choose which planet you want to go to save Bucky's friends, then unlocking that character to play as. So you kind of start off getting your friends out, and then the game really begins, and you can choose between them in the stage to kind of progress in that. You have your robot friend that can destroy certain blocks that you can get by. So you just have to find each character's little special quirk or ability to progress through the level. And the graphics in this so good, it almost looks like an early Super Nintendo game. Everything's so bright and colorful and detailed. It's just visually appealing to look at. And again, music is great. Gameplay is really fun. This one you can pop in and just have a great weekend playing some Bucky O'Hare. Captain Bucky O'Hare. And ending this list off with absolute peak of NES graphics, high-res sprites, insane detail, Batman Return of the Joker. The sprite's way bigger than the original Batman. It looks almost like a 16-bit game hiding in an 8-bit shell. Visually, this is super awesome. And the cutscenes rip straight from a comic book. I love how this just pops out with the saturated colors, looking like a live-action comic book that you could visually see all the scenes come to life. So awesome. Love the color scheme they got going for it, and it just looks epic. My only gripe with the game is I loved how Batman had his fist in the first game. In this game, it doesn't let you use your fist at all. Everything is a projectile, so it's almost like a platformer shooter style game. So that was my only gripe, but visually it looks awesome. The mechanics on it are great. I just love how detailed and large Batman is in this, and they put him in his classic blue suit instead of that purple, committing to the purple, although I would have enjoyed the return of it. And it's got fantastic scrolling background to add that motion to it, and it just gives off that Batman gritty vibe we're used to seeing maybe in the comic books. So it really holds true to that. And the boss battles are neat, how they kind of have this little versus thing, and then boom, you get into it, fighting the boss. Batman kind of powers up with some lightning on there, so that makes it epic. And they have the power scales right below there, and once you get further into the game, the bosses just get wilder and wilder. I love that we got a return to the sewer level. I feel like that's a throwback to the first game, and it just looks stunning with the moving water and platforms. Really great. And I love that they added this like shooter mechanic where Batman's flying and it turns into a shooter style game with the fast-paced moving action of the background. Very fun to break it up between the gameplay. This one is a great one to check out, and graphically fantastic for the NES. Guys, thanks so much for checking out the video. Hopefully you enjoyed it. Let me know if I missed any in the comments. Rob, let's give a shout out to our Super Leaf supporters.
Retroholic16, Kaz, The Ballpark, Franks, Jody, Sam, Trace Livengood, Joshua Ames, Alex Kosloffsky, Matthew Heneghan, Tech Wiz X, and Maynard.